Welcome to the Embarrassed by Night podcast season 2. This is the premiere of season 2. Things have shaken up a little bit, but we still remain the Vietnamese American podcast celebrating Vietnamese American culture and beyond. I'm your host, Fred Lay, and you will notice that there's no Andy. Andy quit. Let's see what happens now. I am with our very special guest, the first guest of season 2, Kim Newmoney.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. Kim, where do we know you from?
Where do we know me from?
What does it say on your Raya profile?
My Raya profile? Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I've thought about it. My Raya profile said, it was like, well, someone for the love of God, please cuff me.
What's cuffing?
It just means like, like in cuffing season, how,
finding a temporary bow?
The weather's getting cold and it's like everyone like cuddles up or whatever.
Oh.
Like it's been a while since I've been on Raya. Okay, I'm a photographer. I photograph comedians. I also roller skate professionally.
Kim Newmoney is a photographer to the stars. Specializes in photographing comedic talents. How do you even fall into that niche?
Oh, when I first moved to LA, I didn't have any friends. So I just, it was funny. I really never went to comedy shows until I first moved to LA. But I wanted a way to be around people without actually having to know anybody. And it was nice because, you go to a movie and you can kind of, interact with the screen with the crowd. It's kind of the same thing with comedy, too.
Wait, you talk in movie theaters?
No, but laugh and cry at the screen.
Yeah, sure.
But I think at a comedy show, it was always nice to just, sit in a room full of strangers and we're all just, laughing. And
where do you move from?
Before that, I was in North Carolina, but before that, Georgia, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. But I was always, a comedy fan. I was very big into, Margaret Cho. Admittedly, like everybody else, Dane Cook, he really put comedy, in mainstream.
Harmful If Swallowed?
Yes.
About that?
With the Sufi, I remember I can't even do it. This is a Sufi.
Is it this?
I think it was
Super Finger?
Yeah, the Super Finger.
What a wild time when comedians were really just starting to figure out how to brand themselves.
Well, I mean, I feel like there is a lot of stuff with Apollo going on. We had Kings of Comedy too. We also got to give these people respect as well. But yeah, I feel like Dane Cook as a whole was just some kind of
he blew my mind.
Yeah, crazy social movement.
And he's still kicking.
He is still alive.
Yep.
Doing things.
Still doing some I hear weird things.
Yeah, he's aging well.
He's still dating young.
Yeah,
that'll keep him
I was
young
trying
at
to be
heart.
nice.
Dane Cook. But before that, Margaret Cho.
Yeah, but her Comedy Central special was oh my gosh, I would watch that all the time. Maria Bamford's too. Just those it just really changed comedy for me. Even before I thought of going to comedy shows myself, it was just on TV, and it was just something that for some reason I was addicted to. It was just laughing.
Yeah, it's very rare to see somebody who's that passionate in LA, who's that passionate about comedy. There are a lot of people in LA who say oh, I've always thought about doing comedy. And then whenever that happens to me, I don't know, all I just go is yeah, you should. And then I can't continue that conversation anymore.
Yeah.
Because what else is there to say? But it happens constantly.
Constantly, and I mean the same with roller skating too. I've noticed is a lot of people say they wish they could roller skate or they would love to start.
You can.
You absolutely can. I, as a 35-year-old, say you can. I started about 4 years ago. But it's interesting because there's this sort of permission people have to give themselves, and a lot of people just don't give it to themselves. I wish they would, because we all deserve to be playful and like kids again too.
Yeah, well, and also we're just in fucking California, USA, where we can just do whatever. That's the dream that our parents left Vietnam for, isn't it?
Yeah.
For their kids to be able to be like, I think I'm gonna pick up some roller skates and go hit the park. Is that where you guys?
Yeah. Well, I
The
mean,
ramp?
being in California too, it is pretty amazing how the weather is most of the year. Like a lot of skaters, like professional ones internationally, will move to California because the weather is just perfect, so they can train all year round.
You named about 5 different states when you said right before you lived in Los Angeles. Somebody asked you for a simple answer, what would you rep?
That's so hard because I mean, I think I just identify as a.
What does Raya say?
I used to have Thomasville, Georgia.
Wow. What part of Georgia is that?
It's on the border of Florida and Georgia. It's like the deep south.
Florida, Georgia line.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
You love that band?
What? No, I just know that. This is my interview style. I'll listen for something that I can just free associate with, and I'll just say something. Thomasville, Georgia. What years were you there?
Oh, 13 to 18, 19. So.
Oh, wow,
like
that's high school.
7 years. Yeah.
Okay. I can't imagine there are a lot of Asian people, let alone Vietnamese.
No.
It's just you and your family?
Yeah. My cousins, my aunt, uncle, who are like my dad's nephew and his wife, and their kids came down from Massachusetts to work at my parents' nail salon in Georgia in this small podunk town.
So you guys moved there to start a nail salon because there was a void of that kind of service out there? Or was it
Basically,
just-
yeah. There's like one other nail salon.
You guys were like, we can beat them.
Yeah, and eventually my parents owned 2 nail salons. One was in a super Walmart. The other one was like in a fancy plaza across the street.
What's a super? I can imagine what a super Walmart is, but I've just never heard of a super Walmart.
Well, super Walmart, when they were first introduced, I think the whole thing was that they had everything. So like grocery stuff too.
Mm.
If you could imagine a time where there was a store that did not also have groceries and like furniture and like home goods and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very strange to think about.
And then a nail salon.
Yeah, so a nail salon in there, but it was also 24 hours.
The nail salon was not 24 hours.
No, but
Okay.
the Walmart was.
Damn.
I think that was the whole appeal of like super Walmarts. It was like a one-stop shop type place.
Let's go back to Thomasville, Georgia. 13 years old, only Asian family, and nail salon. My mom had a nail salon too, but this was in Campbell, California, where there's plenty of other Vietnamese people and there's a support system. Were your parents the kinds of immigrants that moved to a predominantly white, I'm assuming,
Oh yeah.
neighborhood and were like, we need to assimilate? Or were they the kinds who were like, we need to stay out of everybody's way?
Definitely assimilate. Yeah.
Your parents spoke very good English and got involved? And
My dad more so.
Same.
Yeah, he still is a very charming guy. He's very funny, so he's always like putting out jokes to make people laugh. So he was always trying to make some sort of businessman laugh. If that makes any sense.
To get what he wants?
Yeah, in a way. The man outside the house was very different from the man inside the house. Oh yeah.
That goes for pretty much most Asian dads.
Yeah.
I still want to know about what it was like for you growing up in Thomasville, Georgia.
It was awful.
How much did you like embrace your Vietnamese-ness while you were living there? Or were you like probably how I would be and just try my best to be as white as possible so I would be accepted?
I mean, I wasn't like wearing an aoyai to school or anything. Like...
Right. No, nobody's going to do that. It's really interesting hearing about that because I grew up with like, there was always like a Vietnamese club at my school.
I'm
There
so
was, like,
jealous.
It's okay, you weren't missing out on that much. But I guess well, I'm just trying to imagine like lots of people are like, you know, you get the classic like, what are you, or oh, where are you from, things, and was it like a positive thing? Was it a
It
negative
was
thing?
never what are you or where are you from. It was literally always just go back to China.
Oh fuck!
It was just straight that.
Wow.
And it was always very confusing for me because I'm not Chinese, but then also at home, all I'm being told is that Chinese people are awful.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, it was like when I lived in New Hampshire, I had a Chinese friend.
Uh-huh.
And she was really sweet. She was really nice. I liked her a lot. Like, she was flute 2, I was flute 1.
Oh, nice.
Like, I just always knew she was Chinese. I never believed my parents. You know, it was like one of those things. And I know the other family that was in Thomasville also owned the Chinese buffet, the China buffet.
Did you guys ever talk to them as the other Asian family?
Never, but we
Whoa.
would eat there all the time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's like you're scoping it out.
I mean, my parents just loved being cheap and just loved meat, so it was like that's where we would go to eat. I never tried to hide being Asian because there was no way for me to. Like, I couldn't, like...
You dye your hair or something?
Yeah, I couldn't be blonde. I couldn't, like, wear... I mean, I could have been blonde. I could have wore blue contacts, but I think everyone would still fucking know I was Vietnamese or Asian.
Well, I'll give an example of what I was... The kind of shit that I would do, like, in high school. I would get, like, band shirts.
That, to...
Like white
to rebel
white band,
against
white
me.
band shirts. No, just to show like no, I know white.
That's why you would get them? Is not because you genuinely like the bands?
Well, yeah, I remember I had a Tool backpack. Like just because I knew like 2 songs, like I listened to Schism, I was like, this is sick, and I just got like a Tool backpack just to like project that I was like, you know, down with white stuff.
Oh man, I knew every Weezer lyric. I still do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't really, like, all I knew was working in a nail salon. All I knew was eating Vietnamese food at home. It's not like my mom ever made me lunch so I could bring it to school so I could have, like, that stereotypical...
That classic, yeah.
Classic, like, yeah, kids, ooh, fish, you know, fish sauce, stinky. Like, I never had situations like that.
The story that's told in every high school senior's college entrance essay.
But I mean, it's all slowly making its way into like American media now.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, it's just kind of eye-rolling. It's like, we're past that, or we should be past that.
Yeah, there's definitely nuances to it. Yeah, for me, it's like I was scrubbing my classmates' feet, occasionally a teacher's foot in the nail salon.
Oh, they would come by?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, prom was interesting because, like, everyone would get their nails done, and, like, I wasn't asked to prom.
Again, those two nail salons in the whole
2 nail salons,
city.
yeah. Well, there was another one, too, but, like, my parents, like, just got another one, and I didn't necessarily, like, hide it because there's no way to hide it, and all I knew is everyone was just always saying ching chong at me so horny, me love you long time, like saying shit like that to me, and like, you know, I'm a child, I don't understand any of that shit, like what anyone's saying to me. Like I remember the first time I saw Full Metal Jacket, I was like, this is so fucked up. Like, this is where it comes from. And then like me so horny, you know, hearing that in rap songs.
Yeah,
but
that shit
me,
stuck around.
It really did. It was just like I was constantly being reminded that I was Asian and that I was different from everybody else. And I think what I would be most frustrated about was how people couldn't just like get used to me being around. It was just like, it was their gut reaction. It's like they've seen something they've never seen before in an Asian person. And then it was just like this noise would come from their diaphragm. And it would just be me so horny. Or like ching chong. Like, it was always like ching chong. I remember we were going into Walmart, my whole family, and there's this like Cadillac that was like parked in the front with front of the Walmart, and it was like bouncing up and down, and these like kids were in there, and they're just like ching chong ching chow.
Oh my God.
And my whole family, like, either didn't hear it or they just ignored it. I turned around, like, beeline for the car, and I was just like, what the fuck did he say to me? And, like, they got quiet. I was like, where's your mother? And they're like, she's in the store. And I was like, well, I'm going to sit here and wait for them.
Whoa.
And when
How old were you?
Oh, I mean, probably like 17 at this point. And the mom comes out and she's like, what's going on here? And I was like, your kids were literally saying ching chong chang at me and my family. And she just laughs. And she looks at her kids, like rolls her eyes and says, like, don't do that. And like, that just, to me, felt so fucking humiliating. Like, because the mom didn't really care either.
Yeah.
I was really hoping she would care, but she probably would have, like, it just felt like she would have jumped in on it too. Like, you know, if I wasn't so upset about it, you know?
Yeah, kid probably learned it from somewhere.
For sure. There's this book, I forget who it was written by, but it's like Asian Americans in the South, and like the very opening of the book talks about how, like in the South, people are there for a reason. So it's like either you're black or you're white, and it's slavery. You know, it's like people who were enslaved and then the slave owners, and then eventually Asians came like to the South, and like there's this phenomenon that happens that when the inhabitants of the South who are already there, so the black and white people, see an Asian person, they don't see a human being, they just see like globalization, which I thought was like a really interesting like perspective on how a black or white person like would respond to an Asian person. They're like not seeing this person who's like has a family and trying to strive and like live a life, but they're just seeing like the world economy, and like the Asians are here to like take the money and like have imports and exports, and like it's all business stuff. Like they never see Asians in the South as like humans who are just trying to live their lives.
Yeah, it's, I mean, representation, there was none.
Yeah. Except for Bruce Lee.
I was just thinking that, like, I wonder what the world would look like if Bruce Lee stayed alive.
Yeah, but also it's like I think about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, how they depicted him as just a brash
asshole, like that kind of guy, and it was just like, I literally sat in a movie theater and just like tears rolling down my eyes as everyone was just laughing at this like international treasure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that phenomenon Kathy Park Hong was talking about in Minor Feelings in her book. It's just about any time she would like watch TV or a movie and an Asian person came up on screen, she would immediately feel embarrassment over her whole body.
Regardless of what that person is about to do?
Because she knew they were about to be made a joke.
Sure. But then we go to now, where there's just a deluge of Asian American stuff happening. And I think because of all that, because we felt so badly about Asians in the media previously, like, we're trying to overcompensate. Like, Asians can be whatever we want, and then, you know, you'll just have like a really goofy character who's totally subverting the stereotype, but in a way that's just like,
but also
there's an agenda behind it.
Also not though, because Manny Jacinto in The Good Place.
Oh, he's great.
He's great, but also isn't he Filipino? And it's like the stereotype of a dumb Filipino is a stereotype.
Yeah. That's done well. That's done really well. But I'm saying they're like, I saw Joyride recently.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I'm a bad Asian.
Joyride, but that was, well, it took me a while to see it too. But that's when it's like, oh man, it's a raunchy female road comedy. When was the last time you seen that with all Asians? And it's you could really see that there was an agenda behind what they were doing, and it was totally distracting for me from like the comedy. Like, I feel like Harold and Kumar did a great job of that. Like, these guys, they didn't even need to be what ethnicity they were. They were just two stoners, and they didn't shove it down your throat. But this this particular one, I felt taken out of it. In the early 2000s or like the mid 2000s, when Asians were like around Better Luck Tomorrow, when that came out, then like other like independent Asian filmmakers who weren't quite good at it yet, but like they had the means to make indie films, they were just like, the classic trope is like asexual Asian guy. I remember there were quite a few like romantic comedies or just romance films from Asian Americans where this like whatever ass Asian guy gets like the hottest fucking white girl that they could find, just to really, really try to flip the stereotype on its head. But you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think I've seen any of those. I want to know what are those called?
There's one called Shanghai Kiss. I took Asian Americans in the media in college.
What college?
UC Santa Cruz.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of barefoot people. And this was like 2008, 2009. I graduated in 2009. So it was up to Harold and Kumar. Like that was when the class ended. It was like, and then Harold and Kumar happened. It's exciting to see what we can do next. So your dad refuses to go back, as does my mom. So how does he feel about you taking trips there?
I mean, my little brother and my mom are about to go back next in February. But yeah, they're going back, and my dad's not happy about it. He's never happy about it, but he just lets my mom go because it makes her happy. Oh, she loves going back. She loves seeing her family. She has like 9 siblings. Some of them are in America. Some of them are in Vietnam. But ever since they could afford to, they would always like send money back. Or anytime my mom would go back to Vietnam, she would bring back whatever American treats.
Mm-hmm. And it's really funny because they kind of don't realize that there's hella shit in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I had to take this big ass suitcase. I opened it up and it was just like shitty toys and like Kirkland's signature honey. It was in there. It's like, dude, they have
honey.
Good honey over there. But it's just, they're just so stuck in that like 1980s thought that Vietnam doesn't have shit. You're sending shampoo and conditioner, Kirkland's signature shit. It's like, dude, they're doing fine.
Have you watched Brother Son yet?
No. That's out? Okay. Does it have a scene that's just like that?
Michelle Yeoh's character goes into Costco and just shoves all of these large, like, things of vitamins into her cart, and then she goes to Taiwan.
Oh, vitamins. I've had to smuggle vitamins. Not smuggle, but
yeah,
take vitamins over there.
It's just like, I don't know, Vietnamese culture is just like, to show love is I don't know, that's how you show love. It's just like buying a bulk of whatever it is that you think they want.
Yeah. I mean, you see the luggage carousel when you get off the plane there, and it's just so many boxes. These families just have boxes on boxes on boxes.
Or if you're at the airport and you're already late for your flight and you see this Asian family at the very front with all these boxes.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is this happening right now? Because it takes up forever to like check all that.
I know.
And like some of it,
they're gonna be too heavy too. You know they didn't do the due diligence of like weighing that shit.
No. But even then, it's like sometimes I've seen like boxes be completely straight up denied too, and I'm just like, oh, they're just trying to show love to their family at home
or flex.
Yeah, that too. That's true.
Now my mom, if I do get sent to bring something back, she'll just be like, give this to your aunt.
Oh.
Her husband's a gambling addict. Don't let him see.
Oh, I mean, that's always a thing, like the secret wad of cash. My parents will always like give a secret wad of cash and just be like, don't tell your siblings. But I'm like, are they doing this with all my siblings though? I can't tell.
Yeah. What is the point of that? It's like,
I don't know.
Just win you over. You're like,
I don't know if it's a superstition thing. I have no idea.
Huh. When you go back, what do you like to do when you're over there? Or when was the last time you went over there?
Man, 2013.
2013?
That's been a minute.
What did you do there?
I hung out with my cousins, did a lot of karaoke. This is when I was still drinking, so I was drinking and just
It's so cheap.
It's so cheap. All the beer with ice that you want in it.
Mm-hmm. So you stay hydrated too. So you just down them.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I remember going to like an uncle's house down the street one night, and it was like probably 2 or 3 a.m. And he just goes in the kitchen and he straight up makes like a whole bowl of noodles for me, and he gives them to me. And I was just like, I can't. I just can't eat this. Like, I was just too full from all the beer and just all the food I had had that day. And my mom was there, and she just like shot me a look and was just like,
You have to.
You have to. Yeah, it's like, it's that very Vietnamese thing of like, you just cannot deny someone of putting their food in your belly.
That's
like,
how they showing you their love.
Exactly.
So go to the bathroom, make some room, come back. When you went to Vietnam, did you bring your camera?
I did. I filmed as much as I could. I just never like slapped it together.
You should.
I should.
Oh, it's a great way to remember that trip.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, I was there with my mom and my little brother.
Okay. Did you have like an emotional connection with the country while you were there at any point?
I think the most connection I felt was singing with my cousins.
Yeah.
It was really funny because one of my cousins, he would always put on "You're way too beautiful, girl."
Okay, so Sean Kingston helped you bridge the gap.
You got me suicidal. Yeah,
Yep.
that song. I don't know why he loved that song so much, but he would always put it on, and we would always sing that song. Yeah, we went to like a monkey island. That was fun. I mean, I felt like a lot of stuff we did was touristy. I feel like the most like connection I felt was just hanging out with my cousins.
Okay, yeah, that's great that you just were like, yeah, it was just a fun trip. I just asked that because I've spoken with a lot of people who eventually like ended up living in Vietnam, but I asked them like, what is it like when you stepped off the plane for the first time? Many of them have said it's like it was a rush of emotions. Just like, oh, I'm finally in this country that I've always heard so many things about, and it's fine.
Yeah, not everyone lives in a grass hut except for my uncle. Like,
but he does it by choice, right?
I think, like, well, it's the original house my dad grew up in too.
Oh, really?
So
they kept it?
I saw their like original like bamboo mat my dad slept on. It was crazy.
Whoa.
He was a country boy too, so it was like out in the sticks, and like my dad, he's a fisherman, so he would talk about the creek behind their house and how it was like salt. I asked him what kind of fish was in there, and he said depending on what time of year, and I was like, no, I mean like salt. Was it salt water? Was it fresh water? And he said no, it depended on the time of year. It changed, and I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about? But yeah, he had this body of water behind him that would change between like seasons.
There's a completely different ecosystem.
Yeah.
Depending on the.
And he would stomp on the fish. He didn't have a fishing pole. He didn't have a net. He just stomp on them.
The fish were so abundant, or he's just so
He's
dang.
just that swift.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then you just have a half fish to eat right after you fish him out of the.
Half? That was a whole
You
fish.
crush his head, right?
No. Yeah, the last time I was in Florida, I went squid fishing with my dad and some of his Vietnamese friends.
What do you squid fish with? Is that a spear gun?
No, it was just straight up fishing rod.
Mm-hmm.
But the line has like small glow sticks on it.
Oh, sick.
It was so sick. So basically like 3 squid had like gotten my line, and habitually like other times I've gone fishing, you like jig it, like you jerk the fishing rod real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about squid is if you do it too quick, you'll tear them. So like the first 3 I tried to get, I like jigged too hard out of like habit. And the last time I finally like just went, I know it was really fucked up. It was like Splatoon shit, but it was like you just have to like start steady reeling. But yeah, I eventually got a squid. It was awesome.
And then you just how do you prepare it? Barbecue that shit?
Hell yeah. No, my parents would put it like in like ganchua. It was It's like a tomato and
Squid gantua?
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I've only ever had it with fish.
It's pretty good.
Damn.
We had like a hot pot.
Gantua is one of my mom's specialties, and she doesn't have that many of them. But she knew that I really liked that as a kid, so she like perfected that.
I want to make it. I should make it. That and bunryo. I haven't made that.
Oh, bunryo. There's so many ingredients though that's like hard to make for just like if you're just feeding one
pho
or two
too.
people. Yeah. Have you made pho before?
I have. During the pandemic, I was so homesick, and I'd always wanted to make pho. So I finally just, during the pandemic, it took me like 2 or 3 good tries to like perfect the pho. But the one I make is like oxtail.
I made pho once, and that was when I invited a bunch of my friends over to watch the results of the 2016 election.
Oh,
and I like woke up super early. I had all the stuff prepared. I was like, yeah, I bought like all these bowls and stuff. Got American flag tablecloths.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was like, this is gonna be fun.
So much
And
fun.
then like it was like 8 people, and we were just eating. I mean, it was good. I followed the instructions pretty well, but man, that's the only time I ever made pho, and I never will again because only bad things happen when I make pho.
No, you need to make it again. You need to rewrite that memory.
It's whenever I meet somebody who can speak like perfect English with their parents, with their Vietnamese parents, it still like blows my mind because nobody in my family does.
I'm jealous of that. I wish I could speak Vietnamese with my parents like that.
The grass is always greener.
No, they're always constantly, like, I'm always asking them, like, how to say something, and when they tell me, it feels like it's one ear out the other.
Have you ever asked them to teach you Vietnamese though? Or...
My dad, like, the last time I talked to them, I was like, yeah, maybe I just need to be around more so you guys can teach me. And my dad just shook his head and he was just like, Kim, it's a very complicated language, like the alphabet alone. And I was just like, are you, because he was just saying like it's all kind of bullshit because it's like some of it's like French influenced, and I was just like, I don't know, man, like I still want to learn it. But I think what he was letting on is that like maybe he's not the most literate at it either, because he said writing it is very different from speaking it. And I also know that I don't know, any Vietnamese person who lives in America now that like left in like the 60s or 70s, I know the Vietnamese they speak is not modern at all.
Yeah,
it's so antiquated.
That was a very weird thing for me to learn.
I only learned that recently.
At my mom's school, they're just teaching this antiquated Vietnamese, and that's all they're going to teach. And so just this like 1970s Saigon still lives on in the form of this language that they're passing on to their children.
Yeah, I don't know, it's so interesting to me too, is like, yeah, it's just so in the past, just so deeply in the past.
You know what's a good way of learning Vietnamese though is just watching movies.
Yeah, I need to watch
or
them.
Music videos, which I totally get down on. I love watching Vietnamese music videos.
I feel like I'm not up on Vietnamese media at all. Like even just Vietnamese American stuff in general. I really
There's not that much.
There's definitely more than I'm aware of. I know that for sure.
I mean, I think the biggest movie that came out, Vietnamese American, is Dustin Nguyen is in it. It's called The Accidental Getaway Driver.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I've heard of it though.
It's a feature. It was like the closing film for the Viet Film Fest, and I went out and watched it, and it could have been short.
Well, those are the only things that get made though, because like anyone who has money are gonna have a stereotypical beliefs. I mean, first of all, they're not gonna be Vietnamese. If you're gonna get like a boatload of cash from somebody, you know.
Yeah, I don't know who funded that.
So it's, I mean, I know like in Black American like media and art now, like the things that are getting funded, and a lot of complaints, it like just from the Black community is like, why is all this art being made that's like high budgeted? Why is it all about like Black pain and Black suffering? But it's like, of course the people who have the money want to see the oppressed tell their stories of being oppressed. Because it's who is it for? It's not for the oppressed. It's for people who want to have to sit there and feel guilty. Or, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a small pocket of people watch it like with pleasure. You know, like...
This one actually, the accidental getaway driver, I would say it was, it's a little bit over that. It's not, I mean, it is just a story that takes place in Little Saigon. Yeah.
But I mean, I think Asians are afforded that too. Mm-hmm. Like, they get to have stories that, I mean, we do get to kind of be a little silly now. Like,
I know, I'm stoked.
Yeah. But it's like you were saying too, it's like an overcompensating type thing, and I feel like sometimes, I don't know, like people will like eye roll at white people for being really silly and like act all cockamamie in public. Okay. And it's like, who's allowed to do that in a public space without anyone looking at them funny?
Right.
It's like, I feel like Asians we get that too a little bit now. Like we're afforded that privilege a little more.
Slightly, yeah. But I mean, still, if an Asian guy is doing something fucking weird on Rodeo Drive or something, yeah, people are gonna be like, "What's up with that Asian guy?" Right. They're not gonna be like, "What's up with that guy?"
Especially like post-COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you came to LA in pursuit of anything?
I was working for a photographer. He said if you moved out here, because I was interning for him first, and he said if you did move out here, you could work for me. So okay. I was working for him.
Were you jazzed about it? Because I've only met you, and I know you as a California person, and you exude California vibes. So when I found out that you were from like all these other places, it was
confusing.
It was confusing. But you come to LA what year?
2015. And
this was already the most Asian people that you've been around, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a long way to go in life.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Chicago, too, for a little bit. Right. There's the Argyle, which is, like, Vietnamese neighborhood, but I never saw anything on the scale that I did, like, Westminster or Garden Grove until I moved here. What? I remember when I first went to Westminster, I was so... The moment I saw a McDonald's poster in Vietnamese, I was like, where am I?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they do that.
It just blew my mind, and I was, like, driving, and I was, like, looking around, and literally every person, front, back, left, right, just had, like, the little, like, jade with the...
Yeah.
red tassels, and I was just like, oh, my God. These are my people.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe this though. Sometimes when I visit there, I feel like I'm not, like I'm totally visiting. Like I don't feel like.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Belong there. I'm not a Westminster OC.
Well, you're a San Jose Vietnamese person.
And that's not that different.
Really?
Yeah, like San Jose Vietnamese and the OC Vietnamese, I think, are like just the same.
Is there like a wealth difference?
I don't know. How rich are they?
I feel like that's like on the wealthier side than Houston, right?
Yeah, Houston's super.
Because like San Jose is not known for like richness, not like that. But like that's the thing though too. It's like me believing that OC Vietnamese people are richer is like a belief that comes from my parents too, because they talk about California Vietnamese people and how none of them are boat people, how they're all like
what?
Helicopter. Like, they just assume everyone's parents or grandparents who worked for the government that, like, lives in California. Like, that's how they were lucky to be that way.
There are quite a few, like, northern Vietnamese.
Those are the ones my parents are, like, deathly afraid of.
But in Orange County, to really thrive in the Vietnamese community, you have to hide your northernness.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. I've spoken with people whose parents are like...
Because I know Viet Thanh Nguyen's book is banned in that area.
In OC?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's so weird.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's conflicting information, I think, like, from my parents. And then I went to a dinner that Viet was at, and he's talked about that. And I just thought that was interesting because, like, me just trying to figure out Vietnamese American culture and just Vietnamese culture as a whole.
So fractured.
I mean, it doesn't. I'm talking to you, someone who, like, lived in California as a Vietnamese person, but, like, San Jose, I mean, I want to know more about it, but it's like, yeah, I just don't know anything.
We're about to come up on the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon.
Wow.
It's going to be 50 years since all that shit ended. Not all that shit. I want to reduce it, but April 30th, 1975 is the, they celebrate, not celebrate, but they commemorate the fall of Saigon. So 2025 is going to be 50 years. Over here, they call it Black April. Yeah, the fall of Saigon. Whereas over in Vietnam, it's like 4th of July over there. It's a party. People waving the flags. It's the reunification of the country.
Yeah, my dad talks about that day. Like, it's the second time I'd ever seen him cry in my entire life.
Whoa. Well, what did he do? Was he there? Was he in Saigon?
He kept stuttering, and he said massive, and just kept stuttering the word massive, and he was trying to say massive slaughter. Like, massive civilian, and he couldn't...
On the 30th?
He couldn't say the word slaughter, but it was like that day he just saw so many people die around him.
Because I have a book that says that not a single bullet was fired. I know that there was mass hysteria trying to board helicopters and fly out, but on April 30th, like the fall of Saigon, the Americans were trying to fuck off as quickly as possible. All of these people were trying to climb on just to get out of the country because they were so scared of what had happened previously during like the land reforms. That was violent, but that was like in the 50s, I believe.
I don't think he was in Saigon.
Okay, so he saw some like...
He saw people dying.
Something crazy.
For sure.
Damn. Isn't it? It's really tough for us as people who are so removed from this stuff but really want to know, but also like, fuck, I don't think I'm ever going to get the full story. And I don't want to like...
Prod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my dad couldn't even fully say it.
That's wild.
Yeah. And he's a really tough person too, so. I have been like really drunk with him before, and I told him about like talking about suicidal ideation. He was just like, yeah, when I was you guys' age, like I also wanted to kill myself. And I was just like, whoa. Like, damn, bro. Like, I'm not gonna try to dispute that.
Yeah.
Like, you were born into a war. Like, obviously,
right.
You wanted to die at some point, or you were at least anticipating it. And if you wanted full control of your own death, that's one way to do it, is to kill yourself. Like,
yeah, dude. That's it.
When he said that to me too, like, we were both so drunk, and I was just so taken aback by it. Because I just, like, had never seen him be that honest about anything like that with me. I think that was the first time I was like, oh, I think we're, like, starting to see eye to eye, like, on how human we are now.
Did he say it, like, very matter-of-factly, too?
Yeah.
That's spooky.
Not like, in a... Because I feel like out of context, or if you just didn't, like, if you weren't there, you could see, like, an abuser or someone, like, mean who would say something like that, like, just throw it back in your face. But he just literally was like, yeah, no, I was like, yeah, when I was you guys' age, I also wanted to kill myself. I'm just like... He was just, like, a friend talking to a friend or something. Like, it was the first time I had ever experienced a conversation like that with him.
Wow. Do you think that that's ever going to happen again? Are you making steps towards, like, trying to get that, wring out that history, that family history?
I mean, the last time I saw them was my third time interviewing them. And I was talking about, so we had just gotten to the refugee camp, and I was talking about when they first talked to each other.
Oh.
Yeah. Right? And I was asking him, like, I asked them separately, like, who is your favorite, friend at the camp? And they both said each other. And, like, I found out that the bathing quarters is, like, a very large space where there was no privacy and everyone had to carry their own water to bathe. And my mom was too weak to carry the water, so my dad would always carry it for her.
Nice.
I thought it was really cute.
That's how you do it.
Carry the water so your lady can bathe herself. It's funny too because my mom always said like guys always, like he was the first guy she ever liked. Like she never really.
Oh, they must have been young, right? In the
like teens, yeah.
Okay.
Like 18, 19. Yeah, I asked about what kind of music they listened to at the refugee camp, and my dad said they always listened to Vietnamese bolero.
Bolero's big. Also, so sad.
Yeah.
Every song is just so sad.
But also, it's just so funny because, like, bolero is like a Spanish. I'm like, how did Spanish and Vietnamese ever marry? Like,
you know, I actually haven't. I only know bolero in the context of Vietnamese music.
That's what I'm
listened to
saying. It's like,
bolero.
I thought it was so interesting because, like, Vietnamese people do always sing about, like, sad shit, but it's always, like, love and longing.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's the one common thing is just Spanish people also sing about the same shit. But it's like, where did that come from? I don't know. I don't think we were ever colonized by Spanish. So it's like, where did the infatuation with, like, bolero come from?
When I interviewed my mom, I knew that there was going to be, she would, like, let out some horrible stories and stuff about her past. And I thought that there might be, not a risk, but like a possibility that she would say, you know, more stuff about like, you know, a pirate attack or like horrible, just atrocities, right? And as we were shooting this for the documentary, I was like, I don't know if this is actually even going to be like good to hear. So I never really got that story. And my mom was just such a G during that whole interview and just talked about like just facts, but not facts pertaining to her, just about like, what happened. And I was like, you know what? I think we're okay, not just for the film, but just in my life, about not knowing. Because I know what the outcome was, and I know like that I know how she feels, and that was great about the interview. Like, she was able to just get out like why she feels this way about the country, without really needing to know what happened. I mean, I'm just satisfied with just knowing that things are good now. Some bad stuff happened.
Yeah. That's like a tough thought because I think about how our parents' generation is called the lost generation because
Why did I not know that?
They're all starting to pass away, but with them are their stories. Like their war stories. So we're not really, because they're trying to keep things light and they're trying to protect our innocence. Mm-hmm. We're just losing history.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose that history, but also at the same time, I don't want to be like, Mom, tell me about those pirates.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, UCLA, I think it is UCLA that has the Asian American Studies Library that has a collection of these Vietnamese American war stories.
Damn.
Yeah.
Put them in it. Did you go to the War Remnants Museum when you were in Saigon?
No.
I lived right next to it, and I still haven't gone. I don't know if I want to spend a day just being really, really, really fucked up.
I was really fucked up by some of the stuff my parents told me. Like, I was like bedridden for a week. It was
oh wow,
so bad. Yeah.
What was the context though that you learned? Like, what led you to just stay in your bed for a whole week? What was it like over dinner, or was it like, Mom, I want to know?
It was on the way to the airport, and it was like 4 a.m. and I was telling them about how I was thinking about interviewing them. And it was because I had just watched Amy Tan's documentary. Basically, she interviewed her mother. And, like, throughout the pandemic, the whole time I already wanted to go home and start interviewing my parents. But the whole time I was also like, oh, I don't want to, like, bring COVID into their home. But it was like right before the pandemic, they told me this little tidbit of information that happened on the boats on the way to the airport. And it just fucked me up for an entire week. Like, I was just in bed, like, just crying. And it really recontextualized and, like, kind of, I mean, just really humanized my parents, but it also made me forgive them for some of the, like, I mean, subjectively, you could say, like, fucked up things that they did. Yeah, the more I learned, the more I was just like, oh, no wonder why you guys are, like, fucked up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's so crazy because there's this couple in St. Pete that is, like, maybe 15 or 20 years younger than my parents. They're Vietnamese as well. And they're so sweet, and they just keep saying, like, let's go on a cruise. Like, you guys would really like it if we went on a cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept looking at these people like, are you really telling my parents to get on a boat for leisure?
I didn't even make that
weeks
connection.
at a time?
But your dad's a fisherman, though, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't get on boats, not in the ocean.
Oh.
He has a thing. He's a pure fisher. So it's like so crazy because, like, I was just like, you gotta stop asking my parents to go on this cruise. Like, they're boat people.
Wow.
And she just, like, it just didn't register to her. But, like, I talked to my parents the next morning at breakfast, and I was like, yeah, it's really messed up. They keep asking you to go on this cruise. And my mom was like, yeah, I know. I hate it. Like, I just already knew.
Damn.
Like, they're like, we don't know how to tell her. And I'm just like, just mention
Straight up,
your
yeah,
boat
just be straight
people.
up.
Like,
We don't do boats.
like, even the generation after my parents that are Vietnamese, they don't even know about the fucked up shit, like the deeply fucked up shit that happened on the boats.
Yeah, so just like, what, 15 years removed, and they...
Right, so, like, who knows about this shit? That's what I'm saying, is, like, someone's gotta do something with this information, like...
Right, I don't know. I'm just gonna respect that there was hella pain, and I'm just gonna remember all of the details that I do remember, but I feel satisfied not knowing more.
No, that's nice. That's nice of you.
But that's funny that you mentioned that story because my mom's on a cruise right now.
What? That's so crazy.
In Bali. I never...
Is she a boat person?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
She's had horrible boat experiences.
Wow.
But she's cool. She's young.
How old is she?
74.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. She's doing great.
Yeah.
This was the most somber
I'm sorry.
episode of... No. This is good. We have a good February to look forward to.
Yeah,
at
we
least.
do.
So we'll use the rest of January to just feel really bad. And then February, we got a couple shows coming up. San Francisco on the 3rd as part of SF Sketchfest. And then on the 17th, we're hitting up OC. Kim will be there.
Woo!
I'm fucking stoked. What you got going on, Kim?
Oh, man. I'm just skating,
Skating.
taking pictures of comedians, just living life.
Check, where can we see your skate videos?
Oh, newmoney.forever on Instagram.
New Money Forever. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us and opening up your heart.
Anytime, Fred.
All right. And thank you for listening to Embarrassed by Night podcast. Bye.
Embarrassed.